बिलीफ आईएएस एकेडमी, विद्यार्थी से अफसर तक।
Hello friends, welcome to UPSC Mains Answer Writing Strategy. In this lecture, we are going to discuss how to address a GS Mains question for the UPSC. Now let's see the question first. How far the demand for the reservation of the seats for women in parliament and state legislature is justified? Okay, so you can see the question on the screen. Let me repeat the question again. How far the demand for reservation of seats for women in parliament and state legislature is justified? Discuss. Okay, so you have to write this answer in 150 words. Okay, if it is for 10 marks, and you have to write into 50 words if it is of 15 marks. Okay, so let me tell you why this particular issue is in news. We know that recently more than 10 political parties have participated in a protest at Jantar Mantar, right? दिल्ली में जंतर मंतर आपको एक प्लेस मालूम होगा. It was famous for various kinds of movements, right? It has been famous for various kinds of movements, right? So recently there were protests by various political parties. For what purpose? They were seeking for the early passage of the long pending women's reservation bill, right? So in this context we are going to discuss this particular question. But before going to discuss the particular question in detail, let me tell you few beautiful thing that we have brought for you, that is by Belief IAS Academy. We have brought a unique mentorship program for you, that is MIP. Now there are some salient features of this particular program, like 2-layer of answer evaluation. There is STEM feature, that is systematic task execution and monitoring. Next, 1-to-1 unlimited doubt sessions are there. Then there will be 10 years of PYQs will be covered. We know the importance of PYQ. Next, there will be 24/7 personal mentorship and feedback, right? You will get personal mentorship and we'll get to know what are your strengths and weaknesses regarding the preparation. Next, we will also get the monthly performance assessment reports and all. So these are all basic features. You can go for more details about this particular program on our Telegram channel, which is given in the description in this particular video. Okay, so let me continue with our main focus of this particular discussion, that is the women's reservation, right? So whenever such question comes into picture, let me tell you, you have to write introduction, then you have to write body, and at the last you have to write conclusion, right? If the question is of 10 marker, you can combine way forward and conclusion, and if the question is of 15 marker, you have to write way forward and conclusion separately. Okay, so that you can address the word limit as well as the time limit. So whenever you are going to address such questions, try to break the question into various parts, right? So see the question. What is the theme of this particular question? We have to give reservation for the woman in various legislative bodies, that is parliament and the state legislature, right? Now whether it is good step or bad step, right? So in this context we are going to discuss this particular theme, that is the reservation for the woman. Okay, now let us come to the first part, that is the introduction. आपको introduction में क्या लिखना है? So we know that 108 Constitution Amendment Bill was introduced in Rajya Sabha in May 2008, and it was referred to the Standing Committee. But what happened? In 2010 it was passed in the House and it was transmitted finally to the Lok Sabha. But what happened later? The bill has been lapsed after the dissolution of the 15th Lok Sabha. So you can write the introduction in this way. You can also write the introduction in the current affairs perspective, that is the why in news. I have given you why it was in news. So you can write the current context if you don't remember the static introduction that has been given by me. Okay, now let us come to the body part. Now we know that body can be divided into various parts, like what are the arguments in favor of the bill, or what are the arguments in favor of the women reservation. In second part you have to write what are the arguments against the bill or against the women reservation. So in the first part we will discuss what are the arguments in favor of the bill. First of them right is the constitutional rights. We know that the Constitution of India has given a fundamental right for the betterment of the vulnerable sections. So affirmative action is necessary for the welfare of the woman, right? And we know that political parties are dominated by the patriarchal mindset, and therefore we need this particular kind of affirmative action. Next, we know that only 14.5% of the members in Indian Parliament right now are the women, and this is the highest number so far. But if you consider the global average, it is more than 25%, and there are some countries this average goes around 50%. So India is lagging far much behind this particular global average. Okay, and we know that there are certain neighboring countries like Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, their percentage of women is greater than India, right? Next argument in favor of this particular bill is the redistribution of resources. We know that by giving political reservation, right, we can distribute the resources in favor of the groups which have been denied justice over the period of time, right, so that they can get the benefit from this particular distribution of the resources. Next argument that we can give here is the gender justice. We know that according to 2008 study, a sizable proportion of women representatives perceive an enhancement in their self-esteem. एक 2008 में स्टडी हुआ था. According to that report, what has been found कि because of the reservation in what? PRI and all. Because of the reservation, the self-esteem, confidence and decision-making ability of the woman has been increased. Next argument that we can give is the previous experience. As I told you recently that we have given reservation to women in PRI, right? And because of this we know that there are certain benefits by giving reservation. For example, it has shattered the social myths like that women are abla, they cannot lead, they cannot take part in the politics and all. So they have shattered all social myths. Next, they have controlled the stranglehold of the liquor, right? So women are protesting against the liquor in the villages and all, right? So they are trying to make the villages addiction free. Next, they are more accessible than men. We know that whenever we have to do any particular work, the officials of the particular office should be accessible, but men are relatively less accessible and women are more accessible than the men. Next, women have helped the investment in substantial goods. For example, there are some public goods like drinking water, right? Now we can give her some case studies. For example, Rajasthan and Bengal. वहाँ पे क्या हुआ था? Because of female representation, जो इन्वेस्टमेंट है हमारी ड्रिंकिंग वाटर एंड रोड्स में वो ज्यादा हुई है. नेक्स्ट, देयर इज रिडक्शन इन करप्शन रिड्यूस हुआ है बिकॉज ऑफ द पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ द वुमन. नेक्स्ट, बाकी वुमन को बेटर एक्सप्रेस करने में उन्होंने हेल्प की है. नेक्स्ट, देयर इज प्रायोरिटाइज न्यूट्रिशन आउटकम्स. एंड लास्ट, चेंज द डेवलपमेंट एजेंडा एट द ग्रासरूट लेवल. अर्लियर कैसा था? देयर आर सर्टन areas in which the male dominated representatives were focusing, but later on because of the participation of the woman, the development agenda has changed at the grassroots level. Next, in the second part of this particular answer, we will give the arguments against the bill or argument against the women's reservation, right? Now the first argument is that this particular idea is against the principle of equality, right? We know that article 14 prescribes right to equality. And if we give the reservation, the woman will not be competing this particular post because of on the merit, and therefore it will lead to lowering of their status in the society. So this is the first argument, that is against equality. Second is about women are unlike say caste group, which means that they are not a homogeneous community. We know that women in India can be divided into various categories like class, caste, etc., right? So this is not a good idea according to the proponents which are against this particular bill. Okay, next argument is about reservation of seats in the parliament. It will restrict the choice of the voters to women candidates. See, suppose a particular seat is reserved for the women, then voters are forced to vote for the women candidates, right? So this can be against the natural justice. Next is the mandatory reservations will not address the deeper imbalance of power, right? We know that even if we give reservation, there are very deepening issues if we consider between men and women, right? inexperienced candidates will struggle to raise funds for their campaigns. Next, defend the interests of their constituencies and ultimately stand little chance of being re-elected. So these are the issues that need to be addressed before giving reservation. Next argument is that general quota will favor upper caste and class women, right? So what happens generally? Upper class and class women will get preference whenever tickets are distributed. So it will go against the natural justice again, right? So it will compete with the claims of other minority groups and it will infringe on the existing quotas, for example backward classes, scheduled class and tribes. Next argument that we can give here is the lack of education and leadership training. एक सर्वे हुआ था उसमें क्या हमें फाइंडिंग मिली कि the female panchayat heads to be less acquainted with the functioning of the panchayati system than their male counterparts. So you can write this particular survey in your answer. And the next part is that they lack social capital, right? Since women are not integrated in any political process initially, unlike men, are not part of the relevant social and power networks, and therefore women leaders are prone to inefficiencies. Because of these various arguments against bill, we can say that it is not good idea to give the reservation. Now we have to write a way forward. See, whenever there is a particular issue, it is better if you suggest some way forward or solutions or measures. So हम क्या कर सकते हैं यहाँ पे? We can give reservations in a phase wise manner, right? Instead of giving directly 50%, we can give at least 1/3, right? At least 1/3 as a moral step, so that we can increase in a phase wise manner, right? Second is that it has shown positive results in other countries like Afghanistan, Bangladesh and PRI of India, right? We already know that. Next way forward is that women reservation bill is already pending for the long time, and we know that current government has the comfortable majority, right? With this particular majority, it can easily pass the bill. And the last one is that giving reservation to women in legislature, it will balance the power among the men and women. We know that balance of power should exist between men and women, right? Once we give representation, once we give reservation, then it will act as a moral booster for the woman and it will help in socio-economic development of the nation. And in the last, we have to study about the conclusion. Conclusion क्या है? It should be optimistic, it should be forward looking, right? So in this step we are saying that India has a huge reservoir of potential in the form of the woman, and right, if it is not unleashed, right, if we are not getting proper benefit of it, it will take the country much ahead, right? If it is unleashed, it means that if we are trying to avail this particular opportunity, it will take the country much ahead. And the last, women's reservation will jumpstart the democratic process. We know that democracy is what? Equal participation of the all section of the society. It will jumpstart the democratic process, allowing significant majority to have a say in how their lives must be governed. So you can use such optimistic and positive lines in your conclusion, so that examiner will get idea that this particular candidate has thoroughly studied this particular topic and he or she is optimistic about this particular burning issue. So this is all about this particular women reservation. If you have any doubts, you can write in this particular comment section, and we have already given the links of our Telegram channel in this particular description of the video. You can go and click the various details of our MIP program. So thank you very much for this particular discussion. Bye.